Gloria, you know what I'm talking about? So market value. So let's say what you want to do, ideally in a perfect world, is to buy a property that's below its market value at a discount price. That way you have some equity going into the property. But equity means you've bought a property worth 100,000, it's worth now 150, so you owe, let's just say 100,000 on the property, it's worth 150. Now you've got 50,000 in equity. That you can tap in through an equity line of credit, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So we're getting ready to buy a home. So you've decided to buy it. Now you got to figure out how to finance it and then shop for it. So who did their homework last week? Do we have anyone? Who can we pick on, Gloria? So what this means is your total net monthly income minus your total net housing expenses equals how much is left for you to pay for that mortgage. And we did a small exercise last week about how you determine that. And we'll get to one later on today, just a moment. I think we're stuck. Oh. There we go. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now, if you recall last week, we talked about principal and interest. That's the amount that the bank is going to loan you, plus the interest that the bank is going to charge you. Then the taxes are what the real estate is going to be charged as a part of the community that you move to, and of course, insurance to cover it. So that's something that's very important, and we can get into some examples in just a little bit. Looks like we're getting hung up on a couple of things. Okay, since we do have a couple of breaks, I'm going to go and talk to them in the back about some of our technology issues here. Let's bring our realtors up and let them tell you a little bit about their perception of the markets right now. Because if you remember last week, we talked about you've got to have a pre-approval letter ready to go. And that's the thing that gives them the opportunity to start to shop for you. So if I could ask them to come up just for a second and speak for a moment, and I'll get our audiovisual working again.
First, I just want to, my name is Rich Crane. This is my wife, Sandy.
Hi, and so thank you so much, Tayo, for allowing us to come. And just a little bit about us. We actually bought our first home 10 years ago. So you look at us and you think, whoa, they're established, but we weren't. Long story, but just to let you know that. My husband and I were always together. We work with a company called EXP Realty, and our agency is a cloud-based agency, which is kind of odd, but there's no brick and mortar. And so we're about number 4 in the nation, and it's pretty awesome because we have offices in India and Africa and all over the world. And so everything is in the cloud since most of us work from the home. And so if you really want to know about our agency, I will let you know. But my husband has been selling, he works in the commercial real estate world, and we've been doing residential now for 5 years.
I think it's amazing that the church is putting this on. I'm serious. This is a wonderful thing, much needed. One of the things is timing. When do you buy a home? You buy a home when you're ready to buy a home, not before. When is that if you have the ability to buy a home? The spring, as you probably know, and summer is the busy time. Generally speaking, it's the busy time to buy homes. What does that mean? Fewer homes are on the market, more people are looking for them, and prices go up. That's what it means. When is the best time? Well, according to some recent surveys that were released last week in Chicagoland area, Chicago, DuPage County, Kane County, going out to St. Charles and beyond, the best time of the year to buy a home is the last week in September, the first week in October. Why is that? Because there are 20% more homes on the market. There's about a third less people looking for homes. And the homes, because of that, have come down or stabilized in price. You've probably heard about people making offers and all, 5 offers on the same house in an hour. That's kind of done. It's not quite done, but it's pretty much done. It's that summer rush to buy a home so that the kids can start school in September. That's kind of what happens. So right now is actually, if you're in a position, and Gloria, I know, is very willing to work, because what do you need to go out and look for a home? You need to be approved by a lender and get a pre-approval letter, pre-qualification letter. Once you have that, you can go out and we can look. We know how to help you. And that's really what our job is. Our job is not to make a sale. Our job is to help you. It's a process. We work with many, many, many people that have never owned a home before. We have a heart for that. The Lord has put that on our heart, honestly. And with that, it's a process. You learn step by step, and we're there with you. And a good realtor would be. Any good realtor that you decide to go with, you would do that. But this is, if you're able to buy a home, if Gloria can get you, help and get your pre-approval letter, this is probably, according to recent surveys, the last week, September, all of October, but through October 18th is the highest, is the #1 time in the year to buy a home. So the timing is right. Thank you.
That's a 60-second elevator pitch. And so when they talked about making the purchase, the most important thing is affordability and knowing what you can afford. And I think last week we talked to a couple of people here about how you determine that. So principal and interest is something that I think people don't understand. You get the mortgage payment, now you've got the interest payment, then you've got your taxes and your insurance, and that all put together is what you will pay. And sometimes we like to use some rough examples to kind of give you a good understanding of what that might be. So for a $100,000 property, let's just say that's our price. We're going to put 3% down. Our down payment, $3,000. So our loan amount is going to be $97,000. So we can think about that in terms of a property. The interest rate, Gloria, what did we say we were going to use? About 2.8%, 3%. And we recommend 30-year fixed as opposed to 15-year mortgages, because you want to use the time that you have. So let's use 30 years fixed as our term. So our monthly payment would be $408 on that $100,000 property. But now you've got to factor into your taxes, which could, let's say, $200 is a minimum average, and your insurance, let's say $100 average. So now for that $100,000 property, you're paying about $700, $800 a month. So when you think about what you're paying now in rent, and then you equate that to what you would be paying as you buy a mortgage and get a home, because quite frankly, right now, you are paying a mortgage, but you're paying someone else's mortgage. So when you're paying your own mortgage, you have two benefits. One, instead of that drawer full of rent receipts, now you have equity that's building. Now you have opportunity to invest in the property itself, enhance its value, and of course, eventually either move on to a larger property and make a capital gain. And that's what equity does for you. Any questions on principal and interest in taxes and insurance before we move on? It looks like we're stuck there again. That's okay. Any questions before we get started on the next section? Let's move. Okay. I don't know if I'm hitting the right thing. I guess I am. Yeah. Okay. I'll give them a sign like that. So if I remember last week, there was a pretty quiet group until we started getting into questions as well. So let's get a couple questions going while we have some time. And the first one's in the back. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
we are looking at the tax and the insurance. At the end of the day, the cost builds up. So I don't know.
Okay, for the sake of everybody in the room, could you just repeat the question and speak a little louder,
I said we're
please?
not just talking about buying a house now.
Yes, ma'am.
We have insurance to pay. We have tax to pay.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you add all those up, it's
That's what you call your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And all of that together is what you owe on the home. So you owe your mortgage, you owe the interest that the bank will charge, then the taxes that the county will charge, and then the insurance to protect your property. So when you put those four things together, that creates your mortgage payment. And Gloria has some information for you.
Are you concerned that your tax and insurance may increase? Okay.
Okay. Your taxes, we can't control. Unfortunately, that's the government's responsibility, and they will increase or decrease your taxes based on relative value in your community. The insurance is generally a flat fee that the insurance company will assess based on your property.
like within the week I went online and I saw that the minimum tax on a house is like $500 per month. That's the one I saw.
Taxes depend upon the area in which you're purchasing. If you're purchasing in Naperville, your taxes are going to be high. If you're purchasing in the south suburbs like Flossmoor, your taxes are going to be high. I'm not sure what the tax base is in this area. Rich and Sandy would be able to tell you what your tax base with. But I can tell you, your taxes are going to be equivalent to where you live. If you live in Roseland, which is in the inner city of Chicago, the tax base is low because the properties are valued low, and that's just the way it is. So your taxes, you can be concerned with your taxes. You're also going to get what's called a homeowner's exemption. So the county is going to write off so much money because you own the home, and that's going to reduce your property. And if you turn age 65 or older, you get a homeowner's exemption, okay? And if you 80 and over, you get a senior citizen exemption, So, taxes are what you have to live with when you buy a home. That's something that a lender or a real estate broker cannot control. It's controlled by the county.
And
Okay. And Rich and Donna can give you more information about taxes in this particular area.
One tip that I use is when I Google, you can go to your phone and just type Google, and when you say Google, just go ask the Google to give you property taxes for this community or that community, and it will give you that property tax amount. And that's something that you can use. Yes, ma'am.
I think her concern was paying taxes that yearly the taxes go up. And just to add on that, even if you're renting, you're paying taxes every year. Your rent do go up. So once the homeowner taxes go up, you're still paying for it. So either way, you're going to pay for it. So why not just pay for it for your own property?
Very good point. Very good point. And so the difference is when your rent goes up, the receipt drawer has a larger number on the receipts. When your taxes go up and you own the property, you do have an opportunity to offset that with the investment aspects of the property that you've purchased. So she's absolutely correct. You don't have the control over the taxes, but you do have control over the investment aspects of the property. And we have our realtor made another comment? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's quite all right.
Real estate taxes are also something you can, when you're paying your income taxes to the federal government, there's homeowner exemptions. Your taxes, your interest and your property taxes, you can deduct off of your 1040 form, off your federal taxes. So that, yes, they can go up, but you do not get a deduction for those when you rent. But when you own your own home, it's a tax deduction on your federal taxes.
Very good comment. Very good comment. So debt to income ratio. The bank is looking at how much you owe to all of your bills and how does that impact your income that you bring in on a monthly basis. The acceptable ratio that generally we look for is between 45 and 47%. So you do want to be in that realm. And so how we get to that is by taking your total monthly debt payments, and divide it by your monthly income, and that will tell us what, for 12 months, that tells us what the debt-to-income ratio is. And so that's something that we need to do when we do your evaluation. How many people have decided to go ahead and do an application with us? By a show of hands. So you're ready. So when I say do an application, I'm not saying that you're signing up to make the purchase today. I'm not saying you're going to buy the house and move tomorrow. But what we're saying by that is that we're going to take your information in, evaluate all of your financial profile, and then tell you what type of property and how much you can afford and help you with that. And then we're going to move you to the next step, which is providing that letter of approval. And that letter of approval is what the cranes will use to go out and find a property that's suitable for you to move into. So this is how we calculate monthly income and debt-to-income ratio. You take your total monthly income, and if you can do that in your mind, if you want to start writing on a piece of paper, we'd like to get you there right now. And have you done that, young lady? I see you've done that in the front.
Well, I was showing them that.
It's in your,
So there's pen. What, can we give them pens, please? Anybody that needs pen, please, 12 hands. 12 hands. Okay, thank you.
so you take that total monthly debt payment amount, and then your total gross monthly income, and you divide that, and that's the number that we use as a percentage for your debt-to-income ratio. Now, there's different ways that we can look at that and help you with where you are right now, but the most important thing is to know where you are so that we can help you get to the acceptable area that you need to be to get approved. Now, remember, as the realtor just said, buying a home is a process. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So types of loans, and types of housing. So most of us have talked about single-family homes and townhouses, but there are different types of housing, and we talked a little bit about that last week. Manufactured housing are properties that are already put together at a factory and assembled on the site that you purchase. Cooperatives are pieces of a building that are owned by a corporation or a group, a co-op, and you buy a purchase of that co-op, but you don't actually own the property, you own shares in the corporation. A little different situation, but sometimes some people may find that as an attractive opportunity. Then, of course, condominiums. Now, condominiums, we spoke about last week, and I think Pastor said he was interested in buying 10 or 15 condominiums. And he asked the question, if he wants to live in one, are they all considered residents of the pastor? And we told him no. So what happens with a condominium is you have a piece of a building, and in that building you have to have a common area, and the common area is paid for by the Homeowners Association or assessments. So now you've got principal and interest, taxes and insurance, and a fourth fee, which is called your assessment, which can sometimes be quite large. So when we look at condos, you need to be very careful about not only what the property taxes are, but what are the assessments. And assessments can go up anything from a window replacement in the building to an elevator that has to be changed in the building, and they will add hundreds of dollars to your monthly fee by adding in a different assessment. So we want to be careful about that. We talked about mortgages. Mortgages is what you are buying from the bank. You are getting money loaned from the bank in the form of a mortgage. And I think a couple of folks last week, and might be interesting for our realtors who are joining us today, said that back in Nigeria, they don't issue a lot of mortgages, or you can't get mortgages. Is that what I understood to have been said, Pastor? Very expensive. That's one of the advantages about being in America. You can buy a house. The bank can make money off of your mortgage for 30 years, but you do own the property, so there's an advantage to that. The principal is the amount that you owe. The cost are the interest, points, and fees and other charges, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then the annual percentage rate is at an all-time low right now in the United States. My first property I bought about 15 years ago, I think I was paying 15% in interest. So now with the rates being at 3%, it's much more affordable. So this is an historic time to buy a property. Don't you agree, Gloria? Yes. Absolutely. And our realtors will also agree. Those of you who are as old as we are will know interest rates were not always this historically low. They were very high. Now, down payments. When you're getting ready to buy a house, you have to do two things. One is to save some money. You know, it's a dream to have a home, but you got to put some work in to do it. So what banks want to see is that you have some reserve, at least enough to pay 3 to 6 months of your mortgage payment should anything happen to your employment. So I'd like to see some banking reserves, but then you've got to come up with your down payment. Now, in most traditional settings, 3.5% is the FHA down payment requirement. 20% is the traditional down payment, which is a lot to come up with. Gloria's going to tell you a little bit about the products at Seaway Credit Union, and they'll tell you a little bit how we get around that. And we don't say get around it, but we do give you a product that incorporates your down payment. And so, Gloria, do you want to tell us a little bit about the bank products at this moment?
So everybody can see me.
And we're going to go family style from here.
Hi, I'm Gloria King Wright, and it's a pleasure to be back this Sunday for us to go over the second part of a seminar. Can you guys hear me? Okay. And I see some new faces. Welcome. And if you didn't receive a package from last week, we have some extra packages that we can give out to you. So you will have both sessions, and you will have access to me and Steve. And I also like to welcome the real estate professionals who are joining us today. Seaway has some unique products that we've just rolled out probably in the last 90 days. And I think I talked about them last week, and I'll just reiterate them this week. We have a 100% financing product. What that means, there is no money down. So Steve was talking about the $100,000 loan, and where you'd have to put 3% down, and your loan amount would be $97,000. Well, with a $100,000 loan, your loan amount would be $100,000. You are only required to have what we call a 1% minimum investment. And that 1% minimum investment can consist of the appraisal fee that you have to pay when you buy a property, the attorneys that you hire when you buy a property. If there's a home inspector, that can be all included in the 1% investment. So we are truly financing $100,000. Now, the only requirement is the minimum credit score is 620, whereas our minimum requirement for all of our other products is 580. So if you have 580, yes, you can get a loan with Seaway Self-Help, but 620 is the minimum for 100% financing. Now, what I like about the 100% financing is there is no cap on how much you can purchase, or there is no limitation. So you could purchase this property in Kane, Will, Cook, DuPage counties, Cook, any county. So there's no cap. And we also have what we call a down payment, DPA, a true down payment assistance program, where we would finance 5% of your closing costs. Closing costs are very high in Cook County. I don't know if they're as high in other counties, but I know they're very high in Cook County. So you're looking at maybe 6 to 8% of your sales price. And at any point, if I'm going too fast, raise your hand, slow me down, because I know this like that, and I can roll it off like that. And that doesn't mean that you're going to get it like that. So I don't want to be insensitive, because if you've ever heard a learning deficit like I have, you understand, that you need to slow it down. So with the 105% financing, we could finance, closing costs run to 6 to 8% of the purchase price. So your closing costs could be anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000. We will finance 5% of that $100,000. So we will finance $5,000. So if your closing cost is $6,000, we're financing $5,000. You only need to bring in $1,000. If your closing costs are $8,000 and we're financing $5,000, then you only need to bring in $3,000. So we have, but with that particular product, it is income, and there's a cap on how much you can purchase. And that property is only for Cook County, and the Cook County high price is $242,000. So that's why I really like the 100% financing. In addition to that, Seaway Self-Help has a portfolio of products. We have our conventional products that we just spoke about. We have the FHA products. We have the VA products. So we try to have a product that will suit all of our needs in the market for anyone who's in the market. And Seaway Self-Help has been in existence since 2017. Prior to 2017, we were just Seaway, which is one of the largest black-owned banks in the country. At that point, we suffered some financial difficulties. Self-Help, which is an extremely large credit union, came in and took us over. Credit union is a $2 billion corporation, so we were real happy to be a part of them. So I say Seaway Self-Help, just like that, because they are the reason that we're able to offer these products. And not only here in the Midwest, we're rolling these products out in California, North Carolina, Florida, Washington State, wherever we have a footprint. And as my president said last week, we are here to assist, and yes, I can do all types of lending. Okay, any questions? Did I cover everything?
We have a question in the back.
Yeah, I don't know if this question will actually take us back to what we discussed last week because I wasn't here. I just need some clarifications and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, first thing, I want to know, the maximum amount that you guys can actually do when it comes to mortgage. For example, if the house is like $1 million, $800 and all that. So what is the minimum that you guys can do?
The maximum for a single family, 1 unit, is Freddie Mac 424. Now, if you go over that, you're into the jumbo market. So if it's 424 some odd dollars, I don't remember exactly what it is. That's for a single family. But if you purchase multiple family, it goes up. So I think the 4 unit for the, excuse me, go ahead. Okay. Yes. When you go over the maximum Freddie amount, that amount over is considered a jumbo. That doesn't mean that we can't do it. That means that we're going to look at ways to see if we can do it. Okay. We may have to split it up. Because if you're looking at something for $500,000, that's great. But the maximum for a single family would be 424. I think 424, 348. Steve, can you look it up on the internet for me? I don't know, real quick. Okay. I know, and it's a twofold reason, and it's because of the pandemic and because of pandemic, and people have been. It's a seller's market. Sellers can demand whatever they want for their property, but what I say to you is that a seller can tell you he's going to sell it to you for $500,000. If your lending institution, and not only Seaway, it could be Chase, it could be Bank of America, if they don't appraise it for $500,000, it's not going anywhere. So, because it's based upon what current market value is. So once the appraiser goes out, and if that property comes back at $450,000, that's all the lending institution is going to lend you, and the lending institution is going to say to you, look, we'll lend you $450,000. If you think this property is worth $500,000, you put in the extra $50,000.
Yeah, when he was discussing the other time, he said the best time to purchase a property is between last week in October. Last week in September. Last week, okay. And first in October. Okay, my question now based on that particular one is what is the tenure for your closing eventually? What months? How many months will it take?
You can secure and close later beyond October. You can find your house within that period, and then immediately you can close after that. Or you've already locked in a rate and amount during that period.
Okay, I'm not really sure I understood the question. Could you repeat it?
I think. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
I think he has actually answered that. What
Okay.
I was trying to say is that if I get a mortgage now, that is cheap. So what time will it take you guys to eventually close it?
You know what? It depends. If you could submit a complete package to me, I'm able to look at it within a day or so, shoot you back an email, let you know if it's complete, move forward. move it to my underwriting team, because what I like to do is I like to get my underwriters to buy in on a loan up front at the beginning, not at the end of the process. So once you send me all that information, I've done an analysis, your ratio looks good, your credit looks good, your asset looks good. I shoot it to an underwriter and say, hey, what do you think about this? They send me a positive yes. I send you back a pre-approval letter, which is good for 90 days. Contracts 30 to 45 days. Yeah, standard. If it's over 45 days, there's something straight going on.
Okay, thank you.
And to,
Thank
Gloria, and to answer her question, the maximum amount for a conforming loan is 548,000.
Thank you, Steve. I'm sorry. I thought it was 424. 548.
548.
Okay.
And as we said last week, that doesn't mean you have to go out and spend 548.
See, that's why, it's good why we are a team. And that's why we say you must have a team. Team is my presenter for home buyers. I'm the banker. You have your real estate professionals. You're going to need an attorney. You're going to need a home inspector. And I found out the home inspectors are generally goodly recommended by your real estate professionals because they dealt with them and they know exactly what they're looking for, so. Okay, was there a question in the back?
Yes. So for those who already have fast home and they want to sell and get, like buy something bigger or smaller with you, so can these people still work with Sandy to sell what we already have before we put application with you? Or what is the process?
Well, you probably want to put that property on the market because what we're going to say is you can't have two residents. So I'm going to let the real estate professionals talk to you about how to list your property. Now, you can do it simultaneously. You can list your property and get pre-approved from me with another loan because my loan will be contingent upon your selling that property.
You're getting tremendous advice up here. We work in this every day just like they do. We have teams. We have our own attorneys, our own home inspectors, because we work with them every day. If you want a $500,000 house, whatever wonderful real estate agent you're working should tell you to, within $5,000, exactly what that house is worth. Then it will be appraised. But you should know that before it's going to appraisal and you pay for that. So that's another one. What was just being asked here? Oh,
She wants to list her property with you.
there's a couple different things on selling. It's an individualized situation. If you have enough equity, we've heard all about equity. It's possible to get an equity loan for a down payment on a new house while you're selling your house. There's something called a bridge loan. There's sometimes, because it's a timing issue, you don't want to have your house sold and not have any place to go. So very honestly, what we normally do is we do it, what was Gloria said, is simultaneously. We work with the seller to see what is the house worth, what does it take to get it on the market, when do you want to sell it. We get everything in place. But we're also starting to look at homes to see that the other house you're looking for is available. And then it's an interesting timing question. In today's market, in the last 6 months, we haven't sold one home what somebody was willing to take at contingency. A contingency meaning contingent on selling your house. So we have to get your house sold and then get it under contract and then move. But we can do both, and we do. We do it regularly. It's a little bit harder now because it is a seller's market, yes. And the biggest reason for that is there's not enough homes on the market. Number one reason. The pandemic was an issue, but there's just not enough homes in the market for the people that want to buy homes. That's really what's caused the biggest problem. So we can sit down and we can tell you what your house is worth. We can tell you in your area how long it's taking to sell a home. We have all kinds of things that we can sit down and go through with you. But you need to look at for a house too, so make sure you've got some place to go.
I can tell you a horror story of someone someone who was getting a divorce. She was splitting the proceeds from the primary residence with the husband, and she was determined to buy a house with the proceeds from the divorce. And so she bought a house on the same day she got the divorce, sold the other house, closed on a new house. Sounds great, doesn't it? One problem. She was so fast in buying the new house that she shorted herself on the inspection. And when she went to she bought the house doggone almost sight unseen, put the down payment down, closed on it. When she got home and uncovered termites, termite damage, mold damage, asbestos in the property. So we do know there are times when you have to move expediently and quickly, but the best thing to do is move safely and cautiously, because once you buy that house, it's yours. And all the things, there are some issues of warranty that we can discuss, and the realtors can talk a little bit more about that as well. But I think the main thing that we're getting here today is now's the time to sit down one-on-one with Gloria, let her go through each aspect of your profile, because I think we all know we don't want to rent anymore. We all know we can buy a house. You've got good income, and that's the thing Sal was really trying to reinforce. If you've got good income, good work history, good solid track record of bill paying, you should be able to buy a house in this country. And that's what we're going to be able to do. And so there are things that are deficient that we can overcome, but I think at this point, the most important thing you can do, you're not obligating yourself to go out and spend the money tomorrow, but you need to start doing the homework. So Gloria's going to have packages ready for you guys to take home with you tonight. Fill out the application. Proceed at least to the point where let her starting to digest and review your profile. Because until you do that, you really don't know where you stand. You know what I'm saying? You're saying you're buying a $500-some-thousand house, or you're looking at that, something like that? Well, let's get down to the core of it. You say you're looking at a house right now worth about $500,000. You think you want to spend about $450,000. You own the house. You own the house now.
No, we're looking at a house
Okay.
currently, my husband and I, and it's on the market for $450,000.
Okay.
We really like the property. We're not working with a lender. We just been looking on Realtor and stop. We just been looking on Realtor.com, and we saw a property that we really like. But we know we have to sell our house,
Okay.
and we were just trying to see what we will qualify for. Our previous property is in his name, so this property will be in mine. I don't know if that have any impact with the
Well-
securing the loan.
Well, again, when we look at your profile, we take the two parties involved in the profile, and we assess who's the strongest candidate to be primary, who should be secondary, who should be even on the loan. And in some cases, husband and wife might have a different type of profile. So we evaluate that. And that's, I think, where you are right now. You need to evaluate who's the strongest profile, what's the strongest presentation for a mortgage opportunity to put forth. So you really need to start talking to Gloria. She can help you with that. And she can get you started on that today.
If you're,
Form, how do we get it to you? Because I have the form at home. I just came back.
you can email the form to me, but what I hear you saying is that your husband owns your existing home. Okay. You don't necessarily have to sell that home, okay, if you can afford the new home on your income. He can keep that property because if it's in his name, are you on the mortgage at all? Okay, that's the way to go. Okay, that means that that's his property. It's not going to show up under your credit, so that credit is not going to be included in that liability. Is not going to be included in your debt to income. So now it's like, can you qualify for a $500,000 loan based upon your income, based upon your existing debt structure, and that way we can move forward. And if not, then we would need both. And at that point, we would need to take a look at, how quickly you would be able to sell your property. And as Rich just said, there are a lot of contracts, but the contingency contracts do not work. So we would be looking for you to sell your home, not necessarily give you a bridge loan, because, I can look into that, but that is not a product that my company offers. Okay, and I'm just being real honest with you. We do not offer bridge loans. We would prefer you sell that existing property and move into your other property. And because we have down payment assistance programs, we may or may not you may or may not need that bridge loan because you're looking for equity to put into your new property. And great. Okay. So what could happen then is if you didn't, whenever you sell that property, you could always make a lump sum principal reduction on your existing loan. So if you get $75,000 or $100,000 out, you know, and you've gotten a $400,000 loan, you can drop that $100,000 on that and reduce that to $300,000.
See, when you're
Some
dealing with,
options.
when you're dealing with someone experienced like Gloria, she knows how to twist and turn your profile to make it work. And I think that's the key. My background is in solving problems. I haven't found a borrower, and maybe the Cranes can tell you. Have you ever seen a borrower that didn't have some kind of problem? No. Gloria, have you ever seen a perfect borrower that didn't have any issues at all? Not in a long time. It's been a while. Yes,
So
ma'am.
talking
Yes,
about the down payment assistance program, my agent spoke with you during the week, so he told me that the DuPage County, they're giving out $50,000, and I'm qualified for it. Are they going to give it to you? Yes, he will give it. Yeah. Okay, do I have to talk to him to tell you to give it to you? He's supposed to give you a call on Monday. Okay, we're supposed to give you a call on Monday? Okay, okay.
If you recall, she was in last week, and she spoke to us, and now we got her moving with us, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause. She's headed on her way. And then she asked the question last week, what is my first step? And we told her, you've just made it. And so that was a great success story. Thank you so much. So when you're, thanks, Pastor. So when we're talking about 15-year mortgages or 30-year fixed mortgages, what does that mean? 30-year fixed means you've got 30 years to pay off that mortgage. 15 years means you're paying you have a smaller amount of time, but you're paying less in terms of an overhead monthly. So some people ask, is it better to pay 15 years or 30 years? And I say this, for the first time, use the extended 30-year period. You know, you always have some options to double up your payments. And when we used an example of your car payment, for example, who's paying a car note and maybe paying an extra car note every month? That brings down the principal value, which brings down the amount of interest that you pay in the life of the loan. So we suggest you take the 30-year fixed and then pay extra into the loan if you like, at your discretion. And if times get hard, if life hits or if something changes financially, you go back to the 30-year basic 30-year fixed amount. So that gives you some flexibility. Yes, sir, in the back.
If we submit our forms to you right now, you're going to pull up our credit immediately?
I'm sorry, could someone help?
I said if we submit the form to you right away, are you pulling up our credit immediately?
Ah, that's a great question.
What I'm doing is, first of all, I'm going to review all the documents you sent to me. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have current pay stubs, tax returns, Social Security card, or any form of identification you may need. Because what I want to do is, first of all, to make sure that I have everything before I pull your credit. So if you send me that application package today, I probably won't pull your credit because I probably won't look at it till like tomorrow evening, like 6 or 7 tomorrow evening, and I'll shoot your email on Tuesday and say, yes, I'll pull your credit. I don't know if you remember, but a young lady's with me last week, Twanya, my credit guru. She will pull the credit. I'll send her an email Monday evening. She'll pull the credit on Tuesday, okay, and then she'll let me know, and then I can let you know. So it won't be right away, probably within 24 to 48 hours after you send me a complete package.
And they will let you know before they pull it, right?
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely going to let you know. I'll send you an email, say, we're going to pull your credit.
Because a lot of people don't understand that every time a hard pull is done on your credit, it dings the credit score.
So
You try to avoid multiple dings on your credit. Yes, sir.
yeah, I think the issue she's trying to raise is this. What time, if you're not yet ready to buy the house now, and is it possible for us to, what time can we meet you? Is it now, or we can meet you after, when we are ready to buy the house?
You can meet me after.
After.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not ready today, and you know you're not ready today, and you want to say, okay, Gloria, maybe January, February next year, you can give me a call at that time.
A lot of things we have to look at. I have, one of my girls is in a final. I don't want to start moving schools. So I have to look at a lot of things.
Yeah, well then, you know what? It's on, as I think I indicated, it's on your time schedule, not mine. Okay, I'm just here to let you know that when you are ready, I'm available. So if you don't want to do this until after the next school year, that's fine. I have a guy right now in Hazel Crest. His son is graduating, and he wants to make sure, you know, he's finished his final year in high school there, and next year he's going to look for a mortgage. But he wants to make sure, you know, that his kids get out of school because he wants him to stay in the same school district. So I do understand.
Yeah, you guys got to remember, each person's going to have a different timeline. You know, it's a sprint, it's a marathon. For some, it might be 30 days, it might be 6 months, it might be a year. But the most important thing is you're here to say, I want to try to start the process. So what we're going to help you do is create a mortgage approval plan. And for you, that might mean a hard look at your credit. That might mean a hard look at the issues that are making you hesitant to do it. So what we want to do is each person, I think today, if you don't get anything from our presentation, is know that we're here if you're ready now. We're here if you want to try to plan towards 6 months from now. And we're here if you want to help someone else plan. This is not an obligation type of an exercise. This is finding out where you are and how we plug into where you are. And we're willing to come out and visit here again, have you come to our bank and our Wednesday night sessions if you need more information. But the most important thing is don't bury your head in the sand. It's time to stand up, look credit in the eye, and deal with it. There are different things that you can do. Instead of doing hard pulls on your credit, you can do Credit Karma. You can get your one free credit report from the federal government and assess it. But a lot of times when people look at when some people, Gloria doesn't like Credit Karma. I like Credit Karma.
I don't like Credit Karma because Credit Karma gives you a false positive. Remember that the only true credit report is freecreditreport.com. They give you your actual credit report, and they will give you your scores if you pay for it. Karma gives you a false sensitive because Karma will tell you your score is 620, and when a financial institution, and they pull a hard pull, and we're pulling from all agencies, we're pulling from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you may be at 600. They don't deal with all three.
They deal with two Experian and credit.
But 3 is what matters. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. That's what I'm saying. So it's a false, to me it's a false positive because yeah, because that's what we do as an institution. Institutionally, everyone pulls from those 3 major credit bureaus. So Experian could be, you know, an account that you had positive rating with, and it could up your credit score. You could have had an account with Experian, and it wasn't positive, and it lowers your credit score. That's why I'm saying when you deal with Credit Karma like that, it's a false positive. And I can't tell you how many customers I have said come in and say, but they said when I pulled that, my credit score was this. I'm like, yeah, and I'm sorry, but this is kind of like where we are. So I don't want to tell you anything that is not accurate. So,
yeah, I use it more as a monitoring type of system, not the one that tells me exactly what my credit scores are, but it tells me what bills I owe, who's got a collection out on me, what credit cards might fit into my scheme, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. I think that's important. You know, a lot of times people say, I don't want to have any credit cards, my credit should be good. And there's nothing more incorrect about that statement. You've got to have some form of credit in order to be credit worthy. So getting a small credit card and spending a small amount and making sure it's current and doesn't get late charges will boost your credit. So that's one of the things that we encourage you to do. So Gloria's right. The tail of the tape is your hard credit pull. But the most important thing is to let her evaluate your profile and then tells you what your deficiencies might be, and then one by one we knock them down. You know, I've seen so many credit reports that people will say, well, my credit is shot. And then when you look at it, you find out, well, you could pay $250 of that $500 bill. You can pay this off completely. Then if you do this, your credit score is going to go up. We can rapid rescore you. There's a lot of different things we can do, but not what you really need to know is now you've got a banking professional that's going to review your material, and that's important. And then you've got realtors who are going to find out where you want to move and help you find that property. But if you don't do the first step, which is understanding your profile, then you're never going to be on the path to home ownership because you're always going to be wondering, am I ready? Do I qualify? And most of you will find out you do qualify. Whether it's a year from now, 6 weeks from now, 30 days from now, it's the roadmap, and that's what we're trying to help you achieve. I see this man looking at me. You have a question, sir?
Yeah, I was looking at I got this question about rent to buy or rent to own. How real it is, because I've had a lot of stories about the hands of it.
The question was, you've seen a lot of advertising about rent-to-own properties, and why don't we let our realtors tell you a little bit about that? But the validity of it is true. There are properties that you can buy and rent for a certain period of time, and then it'll convert some of your payments into down payment while you get prepared for home ownership. But the exercise is still the same. You've got to have a profile that's creditworthy. The only difference is at some point you cut the rent off, and now you're the homeowner. So speaking of rent-to-own opportunities, how do you view that at this time in this market?
I'm sure there's some opportunities that make sense. I haven't seen one yet.
Thank you, Rich. I was going to go there.
Just think for a second, if you, let me create a number. You're paying rent of $1,000 a month. Now, the person who owns that says, ooh, I have a chance to sell it. So instead of charging you $1,000 rent, let's make it $1,400. And you're paying the $1,000 rent, and the $400 I'll start to apply to an inflated sales price at a high interest. And all of a sudden, you'd be better off putting your own money away for your own down payment, that extra $400 a month, and move. I have never seen it work financially, and I don't know if you have, Troy, but I've never seen it work.
Well, what happens is renters, they will tell you, this is a rent-to-own, okay? And we're going to charge you $800, and $200 of that is going to go toward your, to purchase a property. Well, if $800 is market rent, none of that can go toward your purchase to own. It has to be greater than, okay? And if you're going to pay $1,400, you can save that $600, you know? I mean, per pay period. You know, have them take it out, have them take the 401k out, and have them do deductions, automatic saving deductions. I've never seen a rent-to-own. And what I've seen is by the time they get to the point where they want to buy the property, it's shoddy. It's not something you even want to buy, okay? Because why do you think he was renting it to begin with? And he's been renting it for years. You're not the first renter. Okay, sorry.
Does that answer your question?
I've got two questions. The first one is investment property, like the condos, like 4 units of condos, and you stay in one, the other one you rent it out. Where can we see that? Because I check on the internet, none of that is on the internet.
The special program that they have, that you buy
Well,
a 4-unit house, and you stay in one of them.
Pastors, is this another one of?
Okay. And that's okay. The second question is that one very expensive, or is just like a family unit too? Is it like?
Well, we talked about different types of housing earlier, and the pastor wanted to buy 5 condos, and he wanted to live in one and rent the other 5 out. There's something called owner-occupied, and you have to live in the unit that you designate as owner-occupied to get the owner-occupied rate. Otherwise, it's viewed as investment property. So you can, and that investment property can't be owned all in the same complex unless there's certain criteria that you meet. So to answer your question, you can buy 5 condos, but you'll only get the benefit of owner occupancy from one. And that's the one that you primarily live in.
Now, if you want a 12-unit, you are truly in our commercial land division. And I'm not commercial, I'm strictly residential, which is 1 to 4.
Asking about is, remember how you was talking about
1 to 4s? Correct.
1 of 4, yeah,
Okay.
that you could actually either like buy 2, right, like a 2-unit home where you live in one and rent out the other, or you buy a 4-unit property where you always have to live on that property and then you can rent out the other 3.
Correct. You can, see, that's,
That's us, we find them for you.
okay. See, that's where a good real estate agent comes in. Do you see what I'm saying? You can only do so much search on realty.com and all of the other sites. When you have a good agent and they know what you're looking for, first of all, there's a gold star behind you. And they got you. They have your profile, and if anything comes up in the MLS, automatically it's going to go to you. So that's where it's good for you to drive around and see and find out, but let your agents do the walking. You know, it was an old saying like the yellow pages, let your fingers do the walking. Let your agents do that for you. That's what they're there for, you know, and it takes less stress off of you. But yes, you can buy 1 to 4 unit. You must live in a 1 unit. You can collect rents on the other 3 units, and the rent that you collecting can go towards your mortgage payment. So if your mortgage payment is $2,500 and you're getting $1,500 from if you're getting $2,000 from your rental, and that's just a basic example, all you're coming out of your pocket is $500 a month every month for expenses. The 4 units, Steve, what is that?
That was 538
That was a 1 unit. What's the maximum for 4 units?
I believe it falls under the same conforming number. We'll have to research that for you.
We'll research
Yeah,
that.
we'll research that for you.
That's what I call a parking lot conversation. I tell you in the parking lot.
But
I put it in the parking lot, okay?
Excuse me, I have
But
a...
the one thing that we can say is now you're the homeowner, you're the landlord. So while you're enjoying your first floor unit free of charge, and you've got 3 people up top, when their water heater goes out, they're knocking on your door. When the electric has to be worked on, they're knocking on your door. When something's leaking, they're knocking on your door. But does that mean that's a bad deal? No, not at all. Now you've got an income-producing property. You're living rent-free on the first floor, and you've got free use of the property and equity as well. So that's a great situation. Let's try to work on that with you. We'll get that question answered for you.
Excuse me. I think I'm interested in this one that I just said.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Okay, I need to stand up. Yeah. How does it run? What does it entail?
I'm sorry, I
Please,
didn't
if
hear
you don't
that.
mind going over that again. How does it go? How many bed is that?
For what, the 4 flat?
4 flats?
This is a simple application. Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Gloria.
You said it's a 4 flat, okay?
Okay.
It's the same amount of paperwork you would do if you were purchasing a single family. Okay? Complete this application. You let me know that you're interested in a 4 unit. You let me know the area that you're interested in. I will find out what the market rents are in that area. I will make it applicable to your mortgage amount and let you know if it's affordable, if I'm answering your question.
How many bed is a unit? Or it depends on what I want, right?
It depends. It depends upon what you want. You can't go any higher than 4.
Great.
You can units. So each unit could have 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. You just can't go any higher than 4 units.
4 separate units on top.
Okay, as the landlady,
Yes, ma'am.
so
And
I
as
now
the-
prefer the floor that I want to live, right? It's my property, so I will pick the floor that I want to.
Yes,
Great,
yes.
that's
You
good.
go in and you look at all the units and you determine which one you want to live in. However, I would suggest, as the landlady, you not be known as the landlady. You have your rents go to a P.O. box, okay?
Okay.
You know, when they have issues, they, you know what I'm saying? They
That's
have, you
not a
have,
problem because they pay their rent. I get their rent, so I should be able to fix that. Great. Okay.
I'll give you an
Thank
example. I own a building right now that has 4 apartments and 3 commercial spaces. And I get 2 calls from each apartment owner every week and 3 calls from every commercial space owner. So being a landlord has its privileges, but it's also quite a job as well. So know that going in. So that's why it's important to have a good real estate team, a good banking team, and then these questions that you're answering, you know, we can go lecture you all day about different things, but until you sit down with Gloria and really let her digest your profile, you don't really know what you're dealing with. And it's good to have a professional like Gloria. Let's give Gloria a round of applause. Come on, Gloria. Yes, sir.
Only because I love you guys. It comes from my heart. Yeah, it does.
We've got another question, young man.
Before we go away from there, what is the credit score for that place, ma'am? 620. 620. Thank you.
620 or
Please, Gloria.
Did you say what's the minimum credit score, sir?
This
620.
number, I just want to be sure that the numbers I have here will still be okay in the next 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to actually reach you, right? Okay, and the other team too. I don't think I have their forwarding addresses. Please, we would like to have that. No, this is not a joking matter. It's a serious matter that we are discussing here. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So my question is, do you guys finance?
no, I didn't.
Okay. What she was trying to say is that will your phone number will still be active for like 4 or 5 months? That's number one. Number two, what is your address? What is your address they can reach you if you want to send you something packaged in the post?
No, this is what I'm gonna say to you. Okay, is that number that you see on that form I have had since 2017. Okay, and even though I've retired once and came back again, I'm not looking forward to retirement again because I got bored the first time. Okay, so that number is good, and you can also. The young lady that I was working with, when we were having difficult communicating, I gave her a personal cell, which I have had since 19, oh my God,
That's
I had
enough
the
of that.
big phones, you know what I'm saying? So I'm here, and if I'm not here, my institution will be here. Seaway has 40 years, and so does self-help. So it's not like, you know, I'm going up into oblivion. You know, and Teo knows to reach me. Pastor knows. Okay.
And let's not forget, Gloria's driven all the way out here on her Sunday, on a Bears Sunday at that, in this hot weather. So the fact that these professionals were here, and then last week the president of the bank was here, means we're going to be here when you're ready.
But Steve, I come out here and shop all the time in Oak Brook, so sorry.
Yes, so my question is, so for someone that's trying to build, do you guys finance that? And what's your opinion about like someone that's looking towards building a house, then buying a house?
We can do new construction, okay? I mean, if you find a builder that you want to work with, I would suggest you get in touch with Donna and Rich, okay, in terms of new construction, but we definitely do new construction. Okay, we will do what's called the end loan on new construction. We won't do the construction piece, but we'll do the end loan for you, which means that your builder has to already have his line of credit or whatever to build that property. That's why I suggest you go with your real estate professionals, because then they can direct you in terms of, you know, is this a solid builder, so forth, so on. No. Okay.
Yeah, she would call that the parking lot conversation. There are some other options that we can give you, but for the purposes of this presentation, we want to keep it simple. But there are different ways to skin that cat. You can talk to us about that. Anyone else before we move on? And we don't have much more to go. And I think these questions are really what helps us hone down to what we really need to do. I think the fact that we're here says we're ready. And if you're ready, then the biggest question is, who are you going to talk to? And that's why the team is the most important. So Gloria's here. She's got application material she's given you. Let's fill them out. Let's start the process, and then we'll find out what the roadblocks are. And then together, we'll climb in and we'll leap over them. Because that's really what it's all about, is knowing what the problems are and how to resolve them. And do we have one other comment from the young man in the front? It's always the quiet ones that has most to say.
Okay, so talking about the 15 and the
30-year fixed?
30-year fixed, I'm just wondering, I think I had a conversation last week. So I'm just wondering that, okay, if you do like 30 years, and then maybe along the line you run into some money and you want to pay some bulk money, maybe like 10, yeah. Will that reduce your monthly payment, or does the bank punish you for even trying to?
What
Yeah.
it doesn't reduce your monthly payment unless you ask us to re-amortize your loan. But what it does is it changes the application of principal and interest. When you make the lump sum a payment, less goes to interest, more goes to principal. Okay, so it changes the application of the principal and interest payment. But if you want to put down $100,000 and you want us to re-amortize your loan on, you had $400,000, it's now $300,000, you want us to do a re-amortization of $300,000 and give you that payment on that, we will, my loan servicing department will look at that. But the majority of the time, the benefit is that the application of principal and interest is that the interest goes down and you put more toward principal. There is no prepayment penalty on mortgages, on residential mortgages, anywhere in the United States. If you find somebody who's doing it, it's illegal. Let us know. We'll report them.
Best example is your car note. Right now, you're paying $500 a month in car payments. If you decided to pay $1,000 a month, that brings down the principal amount. Doesn't change the car payment amount, just brings down the principal amount that you owe. So times got a little hard. Now you just say, I'm not going to pay the double payment. You're just going to pay the single payment. So now you're back to where you were. But just as Gloria said, if you want them to reevaluate the entire loan, then you can bring down the interest payment and the amount. That's a great question. That's a great question. So in other words, you hit the lottery, you pay off the loan, there's no prepayment penalty. Yes, ma'am, one more question? So who is ready to start the application process? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the young lady over there with the mega house that we're gonna try to help you get through. The jumbo, the jumbo. So the application materials that you have on your package, you can start to fill those out, and Gloria will be happy to receive those. She will call you up in 20 and we'll talk to you about your credit, things of that nature. You know, we're here to help. We're not here just for these 2 Sundays. We're here from here until you finish. So what we want to try to do is measure your participation with us until you get into the house that you want.
You know what? But you know what? It's more than a form. It's a documentation that's needed on page 2. You have my documents too? I need 2 pay stubs, last 2 federal income tax returns with W-2s, most recent bank stuff. All right. I'll take the entire pack. Now, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. We got another homeowner. There we go.
Okay.
So now, subsequent to tonight, We do hold these sessions on Wednesday nights at the bank, and if you think you need a little bit more time and you want to talk with us further, you can come join us on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock on 87th Street in Chicago, and we'd be more than happy to help you. But the most important thing is now Pastor has indicated that we'll be on site here whenever you need us. Is that correct, Pastor? You're going to have us back whenever you need us? Okay, very good. Question was, the realtors are here. Can we get their contact information?
It's also on the magnet, also, yeah. It's on the magnet.
Yeah, you can put that magnet on the refrigerator. Now, another tip I would suggest is as you're riding through the cities and towns where you live, have a little piece of paper with you and write down addresses of properties that you like. You know, because you'll see a property, you'll like it, you might write the address down, and then the realtors can research it for you.
So there's also, so our contact number is in the upper right-hand corner. If you text me, I can send you, we have an app. And so that app, as you're driving by a house, if you like it, you can pull it right up on your phone. It will give you all the information. But I'd have to send you the app.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Pastor always wraps us up with a yes, sir. Well, and Gloria can address that, but we cover the state of Illinois, and then we're also in what other cities?
Indiana, North Carolina. I think Guarantee Rate is a national company, so. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'll find out about Texas. I should know about Texas. My babies are in Texas, and I haven't been able to see them. I have the misfortune of having three kids. Two of them in Texas, one is in Tennessee. I haven't been able to see any of my 10. I haven't been able to see any of my 10 grandbabies because they're not vaccinated. Okay. Yeah. So, but I'll check on Texas for you.
All right, so we're going to just about close now, but Pastor always comes up and says a couple words for us. We got one more question. Oh, one more question. One more question. Yeah, I'll come back.
You work with Guaranteed Rate? Oh, we work with them all the time.
Oh, she can collect some things now, and we have an email address.
Scan it and email it is the best way because you have a record, then I have a record. Okay, so that is the best way to send me any documentation is to scan it and email. Okay?
I can loan you mine, no problem. So as I said, we can come back out anytime the pastor wants us to redo this information. And so, Pastor, I think everybody's getting ready to run out of here. Let's get a prayer together.
Praise the Lord. Father, we just thank you for these eye-opening messages, information that we have gotten. Holy Spirit, every means that we need to be able to get ourselves qualified, to be able to own our home, Father, we ask for divine supply, Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus. Holy Spirit, we thank you for the people that you have brought around us to be able to give us this information. We're asking, Lord, that you come and even enrich them, Lord, as they have desire to help people. Father, Lord, let help never be lacked in their own life too, in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we just want to thank you for today. We're asking, Lord, that everyone that has had one thing or the other, we will also all be beneficial ownership of our own house in the mighty name of Jesus. We thank you, Lord. We worship you. In Jesus' name we pray.